more so than ever, debt, the word debt, is coming up in popular culture, is coming up in popular podcasts. People are talking about it. People are talking about inflation. It's a hot topic because it's on everyone's mind. You guys have probably heard that it's or seen that it's the most political issue because it affects literally everyone. I saw this podcast from Patrick Beck David, Valuetainment. If you guys have never heard of him, I'll link his videos, his channel in the description below. He's great. But they specifically talk about credit card debt, and I wanted to react to what they're talking about and also have you guys watch it. So let's take a look here.
Credit card debt as they struggle to keep up with the high cost of living. U.S. household debt surpasses $16 trillion on higher mortgages. Michael Saylor, we had on the podcast a couple months ago, steps down at MicroStrategy CEO after they take a $917 million charge on Bitcoin. That's a Yahoo Finance story. Robinhood lays off 23% of their staff as retail investors fade from platform. Reality Bites coddle tech staffer working harder is job number one. CNN's having a hard time. They lost substantial sum of money as ratings plummet. Geico closes all California offices, lays off workers. Forbes set to explore sale. Adam, $630 million. Let's come up with that. Let's do something. Jared Kushner claims Donald Trump tried intimidating him by saying that Tom Brady was also interested in Ivanka, which I love that story.
Such a salesman. I mean, you got to
Equifax sent lenders
we'll get to the story.
Inaccurate credit
scores
negotiation on millions of consumers, and then Tiger Woods turns
so this
down
is where they
7
start talking about
the
credit
car
cards.
is messed up. My brother and I are sitting quietly at the kitchen table. Life gets real.
You think that's really where we are right now? So, Zuby, you're traveling all over the place.
Yeah.
What are you hearing people saying about debt and the current financial situation?
Not a lot. I'm not having a lot of conversations about it, to be honest. What I was just thinking, I mean, these numbers are pretty mind-blowing. One thing that's always perplexed me about the USA as a non-American is the way the obsession with credit. I find it really weird. Like, I've never even owned a credit card before, and I don't even understand the purpose of them. And to some people, that even sounds weird. But just like the obsession,
Dave
with, like,
Ramsey
credit.
will appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah,
right now.
but just like the obsession with credit,
You've
like,
never owned a credit card.
No, I don't even. Why would I? I don't see the point. I have cash. But everything in the U.S. runs on debt. Everything's debt and credit, and it's
Which is why I constantly say there's this thin line between economic stability when everything's run on credit. If it doesn't this is why people say if it doesn't constantly expand, meaning we're having a pullback in the money because we're raising interest rates. If credit doesn't constantly expand, what happens to all the credit in the system, which our entire system is run on? You can do the math there. And this guy's name is Zuby. If you guys have never heard of him, he's great as well. But he, from a foreign country, doesn't quite understand how we can be so rich yet everyone's in debt.
I think maybe people here think it's normal, but it's not a global norm to the degree it is here. There's so many people stack up credit cards. There's this obsession with credit scores, and you don't even hear about credit scores in the UK.
Can you pull up while he's doing that? And Adam responds. Can you pull up top credit card debt by countries?
Go
ahead.
I totally appreciate what you're saying with that. Go ahead.
I'll tell you something else interesting here is even with like cars and stuff, like people talk about cars not in terms of what they cost, but in terms of what the monthly payment is.
100%.
And that's so weird. I've never been to any other country where people even talk like that. You'll just say, okay, like how much does a car cost? If you can afford the car, you can afford it. If you can't, it's not can you afford the monthly payment? It's can you afford the car? So I don't know what the stat. Okay. Oh, those are the stats. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Well, in Muslim countries, there's a cultural thing about debt in general.
Oh, it's not. Yeah. And you're not allowed to charge interest, right?
Correct.
In Islamic banking, there's no.
So,
but take a look at this. So here's how we
look. The car you buy, can't afford.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Afford your weight.
So USA average credit card debt is $5,331. Second is Canada. Third is UK. Then it's Japan, Germany, China, France, Italy, Brazil, India. I just pulled up a stat here as well. Card ownership of the 2.8 billion credit cards worldwide, 1.1 billion is in US.
Yep.
And there's 330 people here.
Say those numbers.
Okay. Of the all there's 2.8 billion credit cards worldwide. 1.1 billion of those credit cards are in the U.S., which means
40%. What is that?
40% of the that's like to match it with population. If the world population is 8 billion, we would need to be at 3.2 billion. So we have 10 times.
That means, yeah, I think we're like 3% of the world's population, 40% of the world's credit cards. We're able to do that because we have the world reserve currency, but that's going away, folks.
Times the amount of credit cards that we ought to have, because so that's an interesting point about how America is a credit economy.
Yeah,
that's 4 cards per person. If you take 1.1 billion cards and you take 340 million people in the U.S. and you take away the kids and you take away the highly elderly, so those people in the middle probably have about 4 cards each.
Yeah. It's weird.
Holy cow!
Yeah. It's really interesting. There are a lot of things that are unique to the USA that I think a lot of Americans don't realize and perhaps think are just international things. But when you come in as an outsider, you notice them and you're like, that's weird. Why is it like that? Another big one here is pharmaceuticals. Good grief. Pharmaceuticals, like the amount of drugs consumed in this country is astonishing. I mean, I think the USA has 4% of the world's population.
All right, just wanted to go over that credit card part, but astounding how much credit card debt the United States is in. And doesn't it seem like a house of cards to you? I mean, it does to me. The video I did previously was kind of to show you guys, like, if you're watching this channel, you are early. There's something that's really interesting about financial cycles. In hindsight, 2008 GFC was so obvious. But if you watch The Big Short, you were in the minority. If you were warning people that this gravy train cannot continue, you were laughed at. People thought you were stupid. And it's kind of that old analogy. We're now off the cliff. We're on our way down. We haven't hit the ground yet. So far, so good. And we see the impact coming, right? But a lot of people don't care to. That's why it's pretty simple stuff. It's just math. And at the end of the day, if you have a patient mindset, if you're a person who doesn't fall into the American culture of I must have have this lifestyle creep, I must have the newest, latest, greatest, you name it, you're going to be better off, especially in this crash coming up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.